Are you terrified of saying yes to a live interview? It could be on TV. My last programme went out to 200 million people every week. Imagine what being on something like that would do for your credibility, your authority. Or you could be at a press conference, on a panel, a podcast. You know it would catapult you to your next level of success, but you are frozen with, what will they ask me? Well, I'm going to show you what Zohran Mamdani does when a journalist tries to trap him, and how you can do exactly the same thing in any high-stakes moment to own the situation. But first, let me tell you about the time someone from the C-suite of one of the world's biggest tech companies was interviewed by me and aborted it. C-suite screw-up. He arrived with an entourage, PR people, marketing people, assistants, the kind of team that scream, "This is a big boss, heads will roll if things go wrong." He came to talk about how they were helping create jobs for unemployed youth. They were building a tech hub and investing in the future. A good news story. He knew exactly what he wanted to say. What he didn't know is what I wanted him to say. A mega business story had broken. It was all over every outlet about his company. The largest fine of its time had been issued, hundreds of millions of dollars. I played it safe. I had a half-hour program to fill, so I asked about the stuff they wanted to talk about. Then I asked a seemingly innocent question that started with, "Do you believe that?" I was setting him up for the real question. He said he did. It was about the right to privacy and not sharing data. And then the knife twist. I asked how it was that if they believe in this, they did the thing that meant they were fined this mega fine. Silence. Everyone was still. Then everyone kicked into action. The head of his team stood in shot and said they were out of time. And they stood up and abandoned the interview. They just walked out. My question was already recorded, so was their reaction. So you can imagine the phone calls that followed when they realised, shoot, she could put that on air, along with a refused to comment. This C-suite executive was trapped for 3 reasons. First, he followed my drumbeat. He was responding to my questions literally. Yes, we believe. Plus, he was fixated on what he wanted to say. He had zero consideration for anything outside of this. He was navel-gazing and missed the screamingly obvious issue that was on everybody's mind about his company. And 3, as a result of these 2 issues, he missed out on setting an agenda. For example, yes, a fine has been issued and this is what we're doing about it, or, and this is why it's not fair. Point number 1 is, don't drink your own Kool-Aid. Look beyond what you want to get across and realise obvious questions begging to be asked before you get caught out by them. Now let me show you what it looks like when someone gets this right. Mamdani magic. Zohran Mamdani, elected mayor of New York, is one of the most impressive communicators of our time. Let's watch him being interviewed.
Democratic Socialists of America now says they no longer favor a 2-state solution. Is that the way you see it as well? The idea of 2 states, Palestinian, Jewish state side by side living in peace?
The way I see it is equal rights for all people. And I think that that's the truth for Israel. It's the truth for any country in the world. And frankly, as we're coming up close to the 250th anniversary of our nation, one of the things that makes me proudest to be an American is the belief that equal rights are at the bedrock of our notion of what it means to be an American.
Okay, let's break this down. The journalist wants a binary yes-no answer. Never fall for that. Never give a yes-no answer. It's a trap. The moment you answer this way, you follow their drumbeat. Mamdani didn't repeat a single word from the question. Did you notice that? Because the moment you repeat the language of the question, you are being hijacked. You're responding to their setup. Plus, In this case, it means these repetitive arguments don't get extra airtime. Mamdani doesn't shine a light on it. He does something powerful instead. He introduces his big idea: equal rights for everyone. And then he does the thing that most leaders and executives don't do. He connects his big idea to something his voters, his primary stakeholders, care about: the 250th anniversary of the creation of the United States of America, what it was founded on. He made his point resonate and relevant. Now, the journalist doesn't want to let him get away with it.
And the idea of a Jewish state, Israel is a Jewish state, that's in the charter. That's the way it is now. Do you support that?
I've said time and again that I support the state of Israel as a state with equal rights. I believe that any state that
But as
preferences...
a Jewish state is the question.
I think any state that privileges one religion over the other is one that I can't tell you I support, whether it be Israel or Saudi Arabia or anywhere else. And a lot of that comes back to a fundamental belief that we should all be considered equal no matter what our faith is.
Same tone, same calm, not a flicker of discomfort, not defensive in the slightest. Instead, he embeds and deepens his big idea. Now, Mamdani equals equality. Plus, he brings up a potential elephant in the room. He was born a Muslim, so he steals the thunder of the journalist by bringing up Saudi Arabia. He removes any potential gotcha, again, around his religion or potential accusation of bias. Now, I always tell my clients to bring up the elephant first. Get it to sit invited alongside them, tame and small, and fanning them with their ears instead of big and huge and being squashed by it. This works when you're pitching, applying for funding, a new role in every single interaction. So get your elephant in the room first. Another thing Mamdani does is he closes the loop of what he's saying. He doubles down on what he wants to be known for, his big message and his big idea, and brings it up at the end of his sentence. And there's one more thing that he does brilliantly. When I worked in TV, we struggled to get a fantastic headline clip, something a guest had said that could be used in the headlines because it was a complete thought. It was ideally different, contentious perhaps, could be used on its own. Every sentence Mamdani says is a complete thought. It's liftable, shareable, headline ready, the type of thing that journalists can use and people can use, can clip and share on their social media. That's the kind of thing that travels beyond the interaction that you're in. What about you? How do you use what Mamdani does so it works for you? Okay, let's play a game. I say a word and you shout out the first thing that comes to mind. Ready? Elvis, Volvo, Cleopatra, Usain Bolt. What about you? What's the word that you want to come up when people mention you? If you don't define it and cement it in your interactions, other people will define it. And sometimes, often, it's not what you want for yourself. So the question is, you equal what? What's the answer? Because everything you share needs to point back to it in a relevant way that resonates with the people you are communicating with, just like Mamdani does. And you must define the one thing that you want people to remember if they forget everything you say. Sometimes it's your big idea. Sometimes it's a sliver, a part of that big idea that's relevant to the interaction happening. So for example, Mamdani's big idea is equality, right? A specific detail, a specific drill down to this is his city-owned grocery stores, where the basics cost around 30% less than market value. So if he was interviewed about that, remember this is the specifics about the stores under the umbrella of equality for all. The same applies to you. What one thing do you want people to remember if they forget everything you say? What's that big giant idea that you want people to attach to you? And what's the example that suits the interaction? Now there's a big seismic idea I want you to take away from this, which is Mamdani is never an answer person. He is always his own spokesperson. This is a role I get my clients to embrace. You don't need anyone's permission to become your own spokesperson. Be it. It's your ticket to fulfilling your potential in life. But it won't happen if you have specific habits that strip you of your authority and credibility. Watch this video to find out what they are and what the fix is. See you there. Bye.